Hello and welcome to CATEX-TV. I'm Tom Bailey in London. It's 4:30 PM in London, 11:30 Eastern Time and 12:30 in Bermuda. Today in history. Well, today is a public holiday in Bermuda because today in 1609 Admiral Sir George Somers arrived in Bermuda. In 1609 a flotilla of ships left England bound for the Virginia colonies under the command of Virginia Company's Admiral Sir George Somers to relieve the Virginia colony of Jamestown, which had been settled 2 years before. Somers had previous experience sailing with both Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh. The flotilla he was commanding was broken up by a storm, and the flagship, called the Sea Venture, was wrecked off Bermuda, as depicted on the territory's coat of arms, leaving the survivors in possession of the new territory. William Shakespeare's play The Tempest is thought to have been inspired by William Strachey's account of this shipwreck. The island was claimed for the English crown, and the charter of the Virginia Company was extended to include it. St. George's was settled in 1612 and was made Bermuda's first capital. It's the oldest continually inhabited English town in the New World. In 1615 the colony was passed to a new company called the Somers Isles Company, and Somers Isles remains the official name for the colony. And now to the news. 2 people have been killed and 3 security officials injured in an ambush in southern Thailand in the latest of a series of attacks the police have blamed on separatist fighters. According to police, a Buddhist rubber tapper and his wife were shot on their way to work early on Tuesday by attackers armed with assault rifles. The incident took place in Pattani, one of the 3 Muslim-majority provinces in Thailand's south. Later, 3 security officers were wounded when a bomb detonated at the scene of the shooting. The ambush came a day after a Muslim man attending his son's wedding was shot and killed by attackers riding motorcycles. The attacks come amid a spike in violence during a 5-year insurgency in the area that has left at least 3,700 people dead. Since last month, at least 40 people have been killed and more than 100 wounded in violence in the region. The deadliest recent incident was the killing of 10 Muslims at a mosque in Natharawat in early June. Most of the violence in Thailand's south has been blamed by authorities on Muslim armed separatist groups. However, no group has claimed responsibility for the latest attacks. The fighters in Thailand's southern provinces have not specifically stated their motives, but are thought to be fighting to establish an independent state in the 3 Muslim-majority provinces. The latest rebellion in the former ethnic Malay Sultanate began in January 2004 when fighters raided an army base, killing 4 soldiers. Now, as swine flu is now prevalent in over 160 countries around the world, it could become resistant to Tamiflu, the only drug that can keep the virus, because it is being overprescribed, according to Dr. Holden, the British Medical Association's lead authority on the pandemic flu. He said he thought the thresholds for issuing Tamiflu had been set too low, a policy he fears will come back to haunt the Department of Health if the H1N1 virus becomes resistant to Tamiflu. The GP based in Matlock, Derbyshire, helped draft the clinical algorithm used by operators on the National Pandemic Flu Service telephone line, but said doctors are being encouraged to dish out a pill for every ill. Writing in Pulse magazine, he also accused Andy Burnham, the Health Secretary, and Sir Liam Donaldson, the Chief Medical Officer, of giving different advices to GPs and the public. He said that both have contradicted themselves by telling the public they can have Tamiflu if they wanted, but at the same time telling GPs to use their clinical judgment. He said they are running with hares and hunting with hounds. People are finding it a bit hard to swallow that we are getting beaten up by the Department of Health for antibiotics prescribing, but the same principle doesn't seem to apply to the judicious use of Tamiflu. And now some US housing data. The US housing market is showing further tentative green shoots after new house sales rose 11% in June, the biggest monthly increase in 8 years, albeit on the back of sharp fall in prices. The rise was the biggest monthly increase since December 2000, reaching the highest level on an annualized basis since November 2008, leading some to predict the bottoming out of the 2-year glut in the market. The American housing market is key to the wider global economy, as was one of the root causes of the current recession back in 2007, and remains a key indicator for confidence of the all-important American consumer. The increase in sales was in part fueled by falling prices, with the median sales price falling from $219,000 at the end of May to $206,200 at the end of June, in part a symptom of the increasing number of repossessed homes on the market. German reinsurer Munich Re said yesterday that natural catastrophe figures for the first 6 months of 2009 were marked by heavy losses due to severe weather in areas with high insurance density. And its main points were that insured losses were $11 billion, somewhat above the average for the same period in the past 10 years. Economic losses were below average at $25 billion, with the average for the past 10 years being $42 billion. So that's $25 billion for the first half of the year. The loss figures include a substantial number of weather-related natural catastrophes in Europe and the US, which explains the relatively high ratio of insured to economic losses. Now, the decision by UK automobile insurer Admiral Group plc to enter the United States reflects the British company's sense of the immensity of the US market and its desire to branch out from its UK roots. Andrew Rose, Chief Executive of Admiral Americas, said the US market is the largest auto insurance market in the world. It's about $162 billion, so that's hard not to be attracted just by its pure size. Admiral, which is based in the Welsh capital of Cardiff, has opened an office in Richmond, Virginia. The Richmond operation will duplicate Admiral's direct-to-consumer approach and is expected to begin writing business towards the end of 2009 or early next year. Over the past 3 years, Admiral has launched operations in Spain, Italy and Germany as well. Admiral has grown organically in the United Kingdom, progressing from a single brand to a number of brands, Rose said. It has kept costs down, marketed itself effectively and promoted sophistication in pricing. Rose said this is a very, very successful model, something that we think is going to work well in the United States. Admiral looked at about 10 possible locations in the United States before deciding on Richmond. He noted that Dallas, Charlotte and Chicago were also strong candidates. Virginia offers favourable business climate, government support for growing companies and the availability of cost-effective talent. Rose, who's an American, said success in the heavily regulated, state-based US market demands highly accurate pricing. Rose, who has worked for Progressive, helped build and run Countrywide's auto insurance operation. The United States, with its enormous number of auto insurers, both large and small, offers a very competitive market. Rose said everybody recognises that there's a big pie out there and we're all going to have to fight for it very hard. For the year to December 2008, Admiral reported pre-tax profit of £202.5 million, up 11% over the previous year. And Confused.com, Admiral's online quote aggregator, saw its profits fall to £25.6 million from £36.7 million in 2007. Admiral does not have any specific goals in the United States, said Rose, who noted the competitors Admiral is seeking to emulate in the US market are generating underwriting profits. And also in the UK market, AIG has rebranded its UK general insurance business as Chartis in a bid to create an independently operated company. The rebrand of its property casualty business follows the formation of a special purpose vehicle into which AIG intends to contribute the equity of AIU Holdings, subject to regulatory approval. Christian Moore has also been appointed President and Chief Executive of the company, which is headquartered in New York. It will include commercial insurance, foreign general insurance, and the private client group operations, with a statutory surplus of $32.1 billion worldwide. Moore has served as President of Chartis since March 2009. Prior to that, he was Executive Vice President of AIG and President of the Executive AIG Property Casualty Group, which included responsibility for all of AIG's commercial and personal lines property and casualty business in the US and Canada. Mr. Moore said, "We are excited by this new stage in our evolution, which will sharpen appreciation for the value of one of the most experienced